What's up guys, Meredith with ExtremeTerrain.com, and today we are checking out the Retrax One XR tonneau cover fitting all 2022 and newer Toyota Tundras. Now if you are in search of a tough bed cover to protect your gear, but you also want one that's going to be versatile and flexible to your lifestyle, this is going to be a great choice to do it with. Now not only will this be a lockable hardcover for the Tundra owners with security high on their priority list, but this will be an easy to use option on a day-to-day basis with the smooth retractable feature, and will also allow you to mount up crossbars or other accessories to allow you to customize your build more than the average bed cover. Getting into this cover, I do really like that this is so flexible to whatever lifestyle that you may have with your truck. Now this will be super low profile and provide a finished look to the back of the bed, and will lock on the back to give you that peace of mind that no one's going to be able to get into the cover. Now when you do want to get in, once it is unlocked, all you have to do is give it a good push back, and with the sealed ball bearing tracks and the lightness of the polycarbonate top, which we'll get into in just a second, this is going to be sure to put it right back into the canister, opening up the entire bed, but you can also lock it into multiple spots if you want partial bed coverage. Now I think the best part about this cover though is the ability to mount up crossbars and other compatible accessories with the T-slots in the side rails, so you don't have to choose between a bed rack and a tonneau cover. You can have the best of both worlds with this one. This will be durable with an aluminum reinforced polycarbonate material, which is durable plastic that's going to be weather and impact resistant. Now the tracks and rails will also be made of an aluminum material with all black powder coating to protect from any corrosion. The canister, unlike other plastic options, will also be made of an aluminum material to withstand any accidental hits from cargo in your bed or just putting larger items in. And it's not going to take up as much space as you think with an angled design at the bottom. Now again, with the addition of the T-slots, you can also add crossbars, but the cover itself does have a weight capacity of 200 pounds when evenly distributed across the top. The best part of all is that it's completely clamp-on with no modifications required, so you don't have to modify your new truck in order to reap all of the benefits of this cover. This tonneau cover will come in around $2,000, and compared to others on the page, it will be a bit pricier than some of the more entry-level or simplistic choices, but for good reason considering what this offers. Now with the price tag, it will offer good security, flexibility within the positions that you can put it in, and the biggest part is the ability to add storage or accessories above it. Now I think if you have an ever-changing lifestyle and need a cover that's going to accommodate for that, then this is going to be a fantastic pick for you. Install here will be a 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, and it should take about an hour or so to get the job done. However, at this point we can head over to the shop and check out a detailed breakdown on how you can get this onto your Tundra at home. So that is going to wrap it up for my review. Let's go ahead and get into the install.
The tools you'll need for this project are a 3/8" ratchet, a 9/16 socket, a number 2 Phillips screwdriver, a 1/8 and a 6mm Allen wrench, and a measuring tape. Hi everyone, today we're installing a tonneau cover on our Tundra, so let's get started. All right, before we start putting this thing together, there's a couple of things we need to do before that can happen. One is we need to remove these white shipping tubes here and these white brackets here that are used for shipping. So to remove these tubes, all you have to do is just pull it out and you're done. Next, we'll remove these white shipping brackets here, and there's one on each end, just like the white tubes. There's a screw right on the side here that we need to use our Phillips head screwdriver and remove that screw, and then we can remove the bracket. So we'll remove this screw here. And remove our bracket. And you can repeat those steps for the other end. So now we're ready to put this thing together. And as you can tell, we've got 2 side rails that go on as well, and they're going to attach to our canister here. Now they are side specific as far as the rails go, and the way that you can tell the difference between the two, the passenger side rail has a green sticker on the bottom of it here. The driver's side has a white sticker on the bottom. So we'll put this for the passenger side. Now, to install the rails onto the canister, first thing you need to do is open up the box cover for the locking mechanism here, push the button to release it. That way it opens up the latch and it will allow the rails to slide on over the rollers here. So then what we're going to do is just pick up the rail, insert the rollers on the cover into this channel right here so that we can get the two tabs. There's one right here and one right here. Line those up with these two holes on the top of the canister and insert a couple of these 8/32 screws to hold it into place. We'll slide our top out a little bit. All right, so we'll pull our cover out about 6 or 8 inches. So we'll slide our rollers into the channel. So we'll go ahead and slide our rails in, get our tabs lined up with the holes on the ends of the canister. Now, if you've got an extra pair of hands handy to hold up the other end of the rail, that's great. If not, once you get the tabs lined up with the holes, you can just lean it forward a little bit and it'll hold its own. Then we can go ahead and take our 2 screws, insert them into the ends, and secure our tabs. All right, now we can put our screws through the end of the canister and into the tabs. Now, once you've got the 2 screws started, we can go ahead and tighten them down with our Phillips head screwdriver. And you can repeat that process for the other side. Now we're ready to install our front cover onto our tonneau cover. And this is actually going to slide underneath the ends of both of the rails. And there's a screw on either end that corresponds with the screw on top of the rail. Now the kit also comes with these 2 10/32 screws and an Allen wrench to go ahead and secure the cover to the rail. So we'll go ahead and slide this in place underneath the lip of the rails and line up our holes so that we can install our bolts. Now, once you've got one started, you can go ahead and put the other screw in on the other end and then tighten them both down. Now, at this point, we're just about ready to actually install our tonneau cover into the bed of our truck. But before we do that, you need to check out if you have a drop-in bed liner. You need to check out the corners of it, make sure that they're nice and tight up against the corners of the bed itself. If they're not, you may have to modify your bed liner by cutting out a section in each of the 2 corners, about 3 inches wide and about 10 inches deep on both corners. That being said, ours is okay, so now let's go ahead and get a buddy and get this tonneau cover installed. All right, now I've got a buddy, so we can go ahead and lift this up and set it into place. All right, now that we've got our tonneau cover in the truck, now it's time to adjust it, clamp it down, and make this thing ready to go. First thing we're gonna check is the distance between the end rail here and the back of the tailgate. And to do that, what we're gonna use is one of the shipping brackets that we pulled out earlier before we started putting it together. And what we're gonna do is use this small end here on this bracket to measure the distance. According to the manufacturer, this is the correct distance that the rail needs to be from the back of the tailgate. So what we're gonna do is slide this between the tailgate and the rail and make sure that they're touching. As long as they're touching, they're close enough. So we're gonna take our shipping bracket, slide it in between the end of the rail right here and the back of the tailgate. Now, when we slide that in there, as you can see, we've got some movement. So what we need to do is move this rail back towards the tailgate so that there's no movement of this bracket. All right, now that it's nice and snug, we have it in the correct position. Now you can go ahead and check the other side as well, make sure that that is the same. Now before we put our clamps on and lock this thing down, you want to make sure that this front seal at the front of the tonneau cover is laying flat against the top of the truck bed. As you can see, ours is laying flat. However, it also extends past the end of the inside truck bed. So you don't want it to be extended to the side rails of the truck bed itself. So what you're going to need to do is trim this so that it goes no further than the very edge of the side rail of the bed. Now to do that, you can use whatever you have available, a razor blade, a utility knife, a pair of scissors, but you will have to lift this up in order to make sure that you get the cut all the way through. Now once you've got that done, then we can go ahead and get the clamps installed and lock this down. Now as you can see, our clamps come in two different pieces here. We have a long piece and we have a short piece. The short piece is actually going to go into our side rails attached to our bed. And the clamps themselves are going to go right between these two alignment screws. We have one in the rear and one up front. That's where they're going to go. So to get these installed into our side rails, what you're going to do is there's a plastic end piece on these rails here. Go ahead and push that in to release it, take that out, and then we can slide our two threaded pieces into the rail so that we can secure it with the outer part of the clamp. So here's our end cap that we're going to remove from our rails on the truck, and push that in and just slide it out. Once you've got it out of the way, slide in our two locking tabs, our two threaded tabs. And one of them is going to go towards the front and the other one is going to stay back here. All right, now we can put on the outer part of our clamp between the two alignment screws here, and using the supplied bolts and flat washers, we'll slide that through like so, and then attach it to our threaded piece inside the rail. And now you can do that same process for the other three clamps, the one on this side and the two on the other side, and then replace your end cap for the rails. Now that we've got all of our clamps installed, we can go ahead and tighten them down using our 9/16 socket. And do the same thing for the other three clamps. Now that we've got everything tightened down, it's time to make sure that it's all going to work properly. And one way to do that is we're going to measure the distance between the rails from the front to the back and make sure that they're the same. As long as they're the same, then everything should roll just fine. If they're not, then we'll have to make an adjustment. So let's go ahead and do our measurements and get that checked out. All right, so checking the distance between the front of the rails here on the inside edges, we've got 58 5/8 of an inch. Now we'll double check that just here in front of the actual roller, and then we'll check it again at the rear. And again, we're at 58 5/8, so we're good there. And finally, we'll check the rear, and we are 58 3/16. Now that 1/16 of an inch difference is fine, there's no problems with that. So if it was any more than that, then we would have to adjust our rails. To adjust our rails, we're going to be using the supplied 6mm Allen wrench, and we're going to be using the bolts, the set screws that are on either side of our clamp. Now, if the rails are too far apart on the back end, then you're going to use your 6mm Allen wrench, insert it into the set screw on either side of the clamp, and you're going to turn it clockwise. That will put the set screw in and push the rail towards the center. You do this evenly on both sides until you can make up the difference. If you can't make up the difference that way, then you can go to the front and adjust it counterclockwise to bring them closer together as well. So it's just a matter of checking and retesting and until you get it right. As long as you're within 1/16 of an inch, between the front and the rear, you're good to go. All right, one last thing to do before we wrap this up, and then we can remove all of the protective film that's on our cover, is installing our drain hoses. Now there's one for each side, and unfortunately we're not going to be able to get the camera in there to show you exactly where they go, but I'll do the best I can to show you. And basically all you have to do is push this up into the bottom of the cylinder for the tonneau cover, and they will snap into place and seal with the rubber seal that's attached to the hose. Now, the downside to that is, unless you already have a hole drilled in the bottom of your truck, either from the factory or from another installation, you are going to have to drill a hole in the bed of the truck in order to fit the other end of the hose through. This will allow the water, any water that collects inside the tonneau cover, to drain out. So that being said, let's go ahead and get our hoses installed. All right, now as I said earlier, we can't get the camera in here, there's just not enough room, but the holes are going to be on the front edge of the casing for the tonneau cover, and they're about 5 to 6 inches from the outer edge. So once you take the end of the hose with the clip on it, you can slid it up into the hole, snap it into place, and it's locked. And at that point, you can go ahead and determine. Now at this point, we've got our hose installed. You can do the same thing for the other side. Like I said, it's just a snap and plug. And then determine where exactly you want to put the holes for the other end to drain through. And that wraps up our review and install of the Retrax 1 XR tonneau cover for your 22 to 24 Tundra. Thanks for watching, and remember, for all things Tundra, keep it right here at extremeterrain.com.